have 3 kids. Nicole is the oldest, Stacy is the middle child, and Bo is the youngest. I look back now and I see how God, He didn't cause the divorces. He didn't, make the people that they were married to be mean people. But because of sin, it happened. And so, but I felt like Bo needed Nicole at that time and Nicole needed Bo. And they had each other here. It wasn't just us trying to take care of them. They had each other too. And of course Nicole had a little baby. But I think that was where I look back and I see how God worked that through that. And they were probably both here for probably 3-4 months, I would say. And then Bo got the call to go back to a church that he had interned at. And they called and said, Bo, we want you. And boy, that's all it took. But yeah, we had things in our lives that I've never even known anybody that was on drugs or anything. Well, I had a son-in-law that was on. And then I've never had really been involved in any kind of an affair situation, and that was something we had to deal with Bo. And, it was those things that I thought I would never have to go through. But God takes us through them. I think I keep thinking back to what that guy said this morning about hardships, and boy, was it hard. But I know without a doubt we could not have gotten through without the Lord and how real He was in our lives at that time. And then, with Bill being sick for so many years, that was difficult. And especially when I would go to the hospital at the rehab and he didn't really know much of anything, really. He would know me when he would see me, but then he would right away, as soon as I got there, he would ask me if I was taking him home, and I would say no, and then he would just go around and visit with everybody else. So it was very much a detachment with he and I at that time. That was one of the roughest things I think I ever went through, because it was like being there with a stranger. But God, I think sometimes He gets you to a point, I know He does, He gets you to the point where you have nothing else to do but to lay it all out there for Him, to pick it up and take care of it. And He did. We were in a meeting with the hospital and the doctors and all, and I was sitting there crying the whole time, but I had some of my family members go, and we were talking about nursing home because they couldn't keep him there forever. And so I just was looking at my life and thinking it was over, And we go down the hallway, and I meet Bill in the hallway, and he says, Vickie, I'm awake. And I'm like, well, I know you're awake, you're talking to me. He says, no, I know what's going on. And it was just like a light bulb went off in his head, and he woke up. And the doctors had told us that would happen. And it was just like, I felt like I got to the very bottom, and probably at that time I really let go and let God do what He needed to do. But boy, was I blessed that day that He finally, it did take 2 or 3 weeks then after that to get him home, but it was
glad as Stacy and Gary moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That was a took the wind out of us for a while. 'Cause they were out there 5 years.
But there again, we knew that they were out there for the reason of being in ministry, and they loved the Lord that much that they were willing to. They went out there to be a satellite pastor for
Big church. So,
Central Church in Las Vegas. It's a big mega church. But he was in a small church though, because they plant them all over
South
the
Las
place.
Vegas.
I knew God would bring him home eventually, and he has. Not as close as I'd like, but each time something happened, I looked back and I saw where God took us there for a reason. And he had some pain or something, I can't remember exactly, that we ended up taking him to the emergency room one night. And they thought it was his lungs. I think he was having trouble breathing. And they thought it was his lungs. This is after his head trauma, of course. And they did a CT scan of his lungs. And so they came back in and they said they didn't see anything in his lungs, but they said he's got, they thought they saw a cyst or something on his top of his kidney, that we might want to look into that. So we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, let me get you set up with a specialist. And he said, there probably anything. He had us go get an MRI, and he said, there's probably nothing there, but we just need to check it out. So, of course, we went to the doctor, and he, at that time, said, well, he does have, they called it some kind of stage at that time, but with kidney cancer, the MRIs, you can't even be sure that it's cancer or not. So we went back to him. He said, let's wait 6 months, and then we'll take a look at it. If it's grown, we'll just go do something about it. So in 6 months, it had grown. And that's when he said, well, I think we better go in, and we'll need to take that top lobe off, and, he'll still have some functioning in that kidney and all that. And then we went and had the surgery, and of course it took the whole kidney, which I wasn't planning on, but his other kidney's fairly healthy, but it does have a place on it. And so it's been 2 years now. We've got to go up in a couple weeks and have that checked again. But if we had not gone to the ER that one night for his breathing, we wouldn't have found that at all. So I felt like that was a God thing that we went that night. I know God was in that. And I feel like he has been in everything that's happened to us. But his kidney.
What's that?
I said, you really weren't in a lot of pain from your kidney surgery.
Just
He
whatever.
doesn't remember a lot of it because they gave him some pain medicine that made him hallucinate.
I seen horses come out
2
of
days.
trees.
He saw all kinds of animals out here, camels, orangutans.
I hollered
circus.
Vickie, I said, we got any insurance?
He said, no. He said, Vickie, I hope you've got insurance for all this.
This whole field was covered with horses.
We had to
and
take
men.
it. He had to stay in hospital overnight just to get over that. And but as I reflect back on all that, I can see how God's plan for us. He didn't plan for those things to happen, the bad things to happen, but His plan was for us to not only love Him and to seek His guidance and all that, but He had a plan for us to be happy. God doesn't want us to be unhappy. He wants us to prosper, and like the verse says that He has planned. What the prosper to me means to draw closer to Him, and for family to draw closer, and our friends to draw closer, and to share Christ when we need to do that. And so I go back to, really, if you think about Nicole's situation, she had Ryder out of it. He's been such a blessing to us. You know, we would rather have not her even been married to the guy, but he, because of that situation, Ryder came out of that, and we wouldn't trade him for the world. And then Bo's situation, at the time we thought his ministry was ruined, everything was gone for him. I mean, he felt that way, and showed Bo that he still had plan for him, and that it was still in ministry, and he just has grown. He met another lady, and she had a little boy that was 2 years old, and God just blessed him with that little family, and now he has 4 kids, and he's working in ministry and doing well, and doing God's work that he felt like was taken away from him. But God never takes that away from him. And then in between all those years, Stacy and Gary, that they did move to Las Vegas, which was 2,500 miles away from us. And so that was real difficult for me. It was a hard 5 years to be without Stacy around, but God got us through it. And that's what when I think about his resurrection, and to me it is him being real in our lives. He is alive in my life. And I can't imagine going through any of this. I mean, anything, any day without him. And his being so real in our lives and blessed us so much. Even in the darkest hour, we can see him, and he gets us through it. And
Everything she said's right.